Hello and welcome to Coronacrisis. My name's David Haythornthwaite and I'm the chairman of AFC Fylde. And over the next few weeks and months, I'm hopefully going to take you through what goes on behind the scenes of a non-league football team at times like this. We're going to discuss all the issues regarding behind the scenes, the players, off-field staff, all the things that contribute to the running of the club, and how we're dealing with the issues that are being thrown at us on a daily and weekly basis, so that it gives you a really good insight to the club and the running of clubs in general. So I look forward to you joining me on this journey.
David, thanks for joining us once again as we look behind the scenes at All Matters AFC Fylde. Just an update on, as we go forward, maybe the start of the season. There's an idea about that.
Yeah, as we said from the get-go, you know, it's a fast-moving ball, isn't it? And you know what's happening? Where are we? Thursday, Saturday. We start the new normal, which has gone from the old normal of 2 meters to the new normal of 1 meter. Yeah, we're all in. I've just walked in the door and it's all mad preparations for the opening of Bradley Saturday, and I think we're going to be packed out with all the football on, everybody ready for a pint, aren't we? Yeah, it seems to be moving at quite a fast pace, and one of the things that seems to be being touted around, you know, is everyone, of course, is trying to get a date for when football starts again. And critically, when football starts again with crowds. And as you know, our league, non-league, the FA have made a very clear statement that football won't start again without crowds in non-league. Agree entirely, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But we're all of us want to find out when it's going to start, with or without crowds, and how that might look. So the latest I'm hearing, again, is we weren't privy to this, but I believe that certain people high up in the game, shall we say, you know, the Rick Perrys of this world, people like that, people who run the game, shall we say, we're at a video conference. I mean, that's what they all do now, isn't it? Video conference meeting on Teams or Zoom or something like that. And the date being mooted is the last day of August, first week in September, for starting the new season. And you know, in this case, they're talking about EFL and above. And I happened to ask the person who told me, whose obviously name I can't reveal, you know, well, how was that going to work with crowds? And what they're talking about, my understanding, is that you will be allowed to have 1/3 of your capacity. So in our case, with our ground, without the stand, we haven't finished it yet, our ground will have 6,000, but it's 4,800 at the moment. So it'll allow us to have 1,600. So I said straight away, I said, well, that's perfect for us. We never get more than 1,600. So that'd be great. And, you know, obviously those big derby games and things, whether next year we're playing Chorley in the north, I hope we're not, or we're playing, you know, Stockport at Christmas in those derby games. We love those games, don't we? It's the atmosphere that makes football. We'll miss those by the sound of it. But who knows where we are by Christmas? Things could have moved on as well. So that's what they're talking about at the moment, is that sort of start date. And also the fact that you could have, you know, 1/3 of the ground. So that's kind of really, you know, without building up too much hope, it's kind of good news. So all of a sudden we're all going, wow, you know, your thoughts change, because if that's going to happen, 1/3 of the crowd, then there's absolutely no reason that non-league can't start with crowds. It's because they're talking about with crowds with the leagues above, Adam. So I'm not sure, again, go back to the big clubs, Portsmouth, Sunderland, those with massive support won't be too happy. Won't bother Fleetwood down the road. won't bother Blackpool down the road. Might do so. I don't think their capacity might suffer a bit. It certainly won't affect us. It certainly won't affect us at all. So only we'll miss out on those gate receipts and those big games. I don't think there's going to be any away fans for obvious reasons. And I'm not quite sure how you keep the social distancing. It's quite easy to do it in seating, isn't it? How you do it, again, I don't know whether they've thought that through in standing, because of course they'll be thinking it's all, in most areas, all seating. So that's what we're talking about, Adam. So, you know, a little bit of ray of sunshine there. That means we're going to get started renovating the pitch. It means we might need to start looking for players earlier, but we've got to be cautious because you can't jump the gun, so to speak. But that's what I've been hearing this week. So maybe I've got good information or bad information. We'll see.
There was a bit of a test that was publicised in Denmark. There was a match in Denmark where they have let fans into the ground this week.
Okay.
The match was stopped halfway through because one section of the crowd didn't follow the guidelines.
Did it? Yeah.
And congregated together and were jumping up singing. I think the rules were that they had to stay seated at all times and there was no chanting. So it wouldn't just be the football clubs that have got to follow the rules here. If the fans want to come out, they have to follow the rules as well. Then, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, without getting into too much of, you're not careful, you drift off into politics, and you know I've got very strong political views on certain subjects, which I often get criticised for voicing on these kind of things. So I'll try and stay clear of that. But I would say that there's since shall we say the easing of lockdown, you know, there's been so many occasions where you can see clear violation. You know, we saw the scenes on the beach, it was in Bournemouth or down in Dorset somewhere. I mean, it looked like, you know, hottest day of the year on normal weekday, didn't it? You know, in summer. You saw all the congregation of Liverpool fans. I understand they want to celebrate. I'm not having a go at Liverpool fans. Then you saw all the Black Lives Matters demos, for example, and the counter demos. So you've had all those things going on, and the police haven't done anything about it. So if you're going to have something, and you're going back to Denmark, and they stop the match, well, you know what, well done. Because there's no point saying something and then not enforcing it, is it? So at least it probably sent a message. So next time there's a match, hopefully people behave themselves. Because what we don't want is to go back to having a second phase of coronavirus. And we're already seeing that, aren't we? We're already seeing in certain pockets of the community. I mean, we've seen it, Leicester being closed down. I've been watching, you know, we're probably going to have Bradford closed down. We're going to have, you know, Mary Barnsley, where you were from. We're talking about Barnsley. I mean, there's certain areas of London. So if we're not careful, you know, we're all going to have these, we're going to back into lockdown, back where we started. And that's because people are not following the guidelines. And you know what, I'm not a bloody great one for rules. I'm terrible. But in this case, this is, started the conversation yesterday, didn't it? It's life and death. So I think people have got to bloody behave themselves. And you know, unfortunately, football, because it's such a spectacle, and it's probably going to be televised, you can see it straight away, can't you? You can see it straight away. You can see a demonstration straight away. You can see the Anfield fans. But how you're all behaving in Bradford, how they're all behaving in you know, whichever area of London, and not social distancing and mixing in the wrong way, then problems start to occur, don't they? And I think the authorities have to clamp down on that. They have to clamp down and clamp down hard. Otherwise, we'll all suffer. So, yeah, it's interesting how they're going to police it, but more importantly, that they do police it, because I've always believed if that's the rule, that's the rule. Don't ever, you know, in life or in business, bring out a rule and then don't enforce it. I mean, you won't, but I can tell you that having 3 kids, you know, if you make a rule, you and your wife, then you better make sure you're both on the same side, and because they'll drive a bus through it if not. So, yeah, interesting what's happening in Denmark.
So, as this will be the last episode for a while with yourself anyway, as you do look to take some time away, it's been quite a journey over the 3 months or so that we have been in lockdown. Are you hoping to come back to some football, and will you be leaving John T to sort of keep in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that probably just worth mentioning, which would be remiss of me not to mention, is that, talking about Jim, is that one of the things that we've decided to do, and in the off season, shall we say, and in these times, is that we decided to part company with Kenny, who's the assistant manager. Been with Jim, I think, for 12, 14 years maybe, ever since I think his journey. I think that John T, I think Twin has felt that maybe it was time for a change, and that sometimes it's good to have a new number two. Can get stale. I very much felt that, as you know, Adam, with Dave Challoner. I very much felt that. I thought that, probably, and that's all respect to Colin Woodthorne, but I felt that, Dave probably should have changed earlier. It keeps you fresh. I thought it was significant when he went to Hartlepool that he didn't take, Colin with him. And I think that, if you look through the history at, Old Trafford, Ferguson always changed his right-hand guy every couple of years. And he did it for a reason. Keep the players fresh, keep himself fresh, keep everybody on the toes. So we sort of had a chat about it, and felt that was probably right for the club. So Kenny will be departing. It's sad, in a way, always sad in football when you have to let people go. It's a tough business. But just want to put on my record, as with anybody that's been associated with our football club, just to say, in a brief time he was here, he's a character. Anybody who knows Kenny, he's a real character, and got a wicked sense of humour. He's got a razor sharp brain, and you'll never get one over on him, as I found out very early going down on a coach trip. I hope, I think we've been able to have an amicable parting, as amicable as you can be in a divorce. Divorces are never usually amicable, but we wish Kenny the best, and again I'd say thanks on behalf of myself certainly, and John T for the work he's done in the brief time he was here. And it's unfortunate that probably you might be leaving with a relegation that wasn't his fault. It certainly wasn't his fault at all. Maybe on his CV, but he's certainly, I say, not attributable to him, and certainly he was a hard-working guy. Going on to the question, I wanted to say that before I forget it, especially it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks. The news will be coming out. I don't want it to drip out like all these things, the same as Jim. We want to try and get it out properly so people don't create rumours, and that is a social media. No, if somebody said to me, we started this 3.5 months ago, that I'd still be doing these, I want to believe them, but I have, as you can probably tell, I've really enjoyed them, and I've had some fantastic feedback, and I know that lots of other clubs, from lots of fans from other clubs read them, and I think it's genuinely watch them, has helped educate. And one of the, just to give you an example of that, and I think I've told you I'm a bit of a sado, in that I do read fans forums of other clubs, particularly those that love to hate us, and I go back to my two favourites, Barrow and Stockport. But what I found was really good, and it makes it all worthwhile, was that there was a thread only last week, I don't know if you haven't read it, go and read it, on the Stockport, and it was saying that, words to the fact, watch that idiot again. That's how they start the thread. I think he was a bit kinder than that on the file, and in actual fact, I think the words were, he talked some interesting stuff. But what was interesting to them, of course, was the story I told last week about Danny Rowe, and the fact that Danny Rowe was only being paid £1,000 when everyone had said, speculated he was making a lot more money. But what was interesting to Stockport was that I'd said, of course, that that was a limit, and therefore, by definition, Tom Walker wasn't on more than 1,000. We've talked about that before. But they had been told, as Stockport fans, by, as they said, the old Stockport board, that the reason that they couldn't keep hold of Tom Walker or couldn't sign Tom Walker from Salford is because Fylde had offered the king's riches to sign him. And of course, what I was able to do with this sort of broadcast was to put that to bed. And I think that was quite interesting for them to find out. And that was, if you remember, what we talked about was what it's really like in a football club. So I've tried to be as honest and open, and I hope that not only have people enjoyed it, but also they've maybe found out a lot more about really what goes on in a football club, albeit at a lower level, than they normally would from reading the paper, or definitely from reading social media.